So if things really are or have been done with good intention, then just fess up. There's nothing to hide, and there's no reason to not. Wouldn't you want me to say, like, I mean, if you care, I would assume you do, since you put effort into figuring things out. But in any case, like, if you actually care and you want to make me happy or help in some way, like, I mean, I don't think that I'm your main focus, definitely not, but like, if you did want to, as I want to make people happy, I want people to be happy around me, I would think others feel the same. And so if you want me to be happy, why don't you just do what I ask? Or like, the things that I've said would make me happy, because I would know better than you what makes me happy. Usually miscommunication boils down to the fact that people can't voice what's wrong or what they want or things like that. So my being like ultra healthy as a person is like somehow backfired, and like people don't know what to do. But like, I've said what I, it's the same with, like, I've said this before, it's the same with different, I mean, it doesn't have to be like love languages, but like communication styles, I guess. But it's the same with like my parents and like people that I've said this before, like, people often do what they think that you would want, or what would make them happy, or what does make them happy and makes them feel like they're doing their part, or makes them feel like they're, holding up their end of things or whatever. But that's still selfish. Like, that's still doing something with yourself in mind, like, primarily. Like, why even bother is my point. Like, why even bother if it makes me unhappy? Like, if what you're doing, or if you're contributing to someone, like, why are you bored? Like, I don't get it. Like, so, like, let's talk and hang out. Like, I don't understand. And things aren't necessarily reversed because I say too many different kinds of things with adjectives that would imply that one thing's one way and one thing's no. Like, as far as reading the future goes, like, pick a word out. That's what it is that's probably going to happen. It's not necessarily reversed or mirrored or anything. Like, it's just that, like, and it happens all the time. It's maddening. But so you think that you're thinking something for your own reasons, and you're on your own train of thought and your own, inner dialogue, and then someone says something that like is specific, like, word, or like I was thinking about scarves or something, and like they then talk about scarves. It's in their next sentence, and it's like, I know that everything's connected and I get that, but it's like, is that abnormal? Or and part of the reason for all this was to reach out to other people and see if like others have these similar experiences. So that was pointless. And so basically, if you do like me as a person, as anything, like, I would, and if you're gonna do something, like, just make it our, you might as well do it in a manner that works for everyone, right? And not just for whatever, reasons you're doing things. I mean, I know there's a billion reasons, and I have my own multitude of reasons for doing things, but that's where communication comes in. And if you don't have that, and there are multiple ways of looking at something, it can be easily misconstrued. And I don't know, maybe I just care more about how I affect other people, how they perceive things, how I don't want to be responsible for someone's unhappiness. I would assume that's the same for others. I mean, truly, like, who would? I on a small scale, large scale, whatever, but like, especially when someone voices it, like, this is making me unhappy, can you please change this? Like, well, then change it, because they've given you the opportunity to dialogue, and they cared enough to voice. They cared enough to, like, not just dismiss something. I cared enough to not just say whatever, I don't care what they do because they don't matter. No, like, we're different people with different experiences, different perspectives. I expect there to be, you know, differences of perspective and things to be cleared up, and, you know, and, but I it's not, you know, I can't do it by myself. I feel like I'm talking to myself here constantly. I'm even apologizing for things when I'm the one that's, like, being tortured and needing apologies and needing to understand, and yet I'm still the only one that has voiced how something makes me feel, and trying to, and I have tried for years. You can imagine how that might be frustrating, how after a while you just say, well, fuck it. I guess it doesn't matter what I say, because no one responds in any meaningful way or any direct way that makes me feel heard and listened to, and like I'm getting the right information. Like, I don't know, you know, like, at least I'm coming from a place where, like, or at least, you know, what, like, a lot of different, like, nuances and things that I say and how I feel about different things, and it's obvious because you've incorporated them into your work. And but all I see from others is just, you know, scripted things or scripted speeches or written out, you know, or songs and things that can be 100% made up. Like, who knows? I don't know you to be able to gauge, you know, in order to be able to say, oh, what they actually mean is this, because I've never actually talked to anyone in an authentic way. Well, I've talked to you in an authentic way. Everything I do is authentic. It's just a matter of levels of how much something means something to me at that point. Like, how pertinent it is in my life, how prominent it is in my life, how emotionally, like, strong, how energetically strong that feeling is coming through that affects a certain area of my life that, oh yeah, that hasn't been resolved and that's really bothering me now. Maybe like a transit happens and, you know, I move on to the next thing because you can't get stuck, but something's not resolved, you come back to it. You know, everything's cyclical. But my point is that, like, things bother me consistently that haven't been resolved on different levels depending on, you know, other factors in life and what has and hasn't been resolved. But I've been authentic and I've tried to be authentic. Not that I owe that necessarily to people that I don't think are being authentic with me, but you kind of have to lead by example and hope that it catches on, like that vibe, that mood catches on, and that people also see the benefits of that. And yet I don't, you know, like, I've never had an authentic conversation with you personally. I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know what your authentic self is like. And I hate the word authentic, but, like, I don't know what you're like. I don't know your sense of humor. I don't know how seriously you take things, or what you mean by that, or what that means to you, or if you're being snarky, or you're being a bitch, or you're just being, you know, I don't like being teased about certain things, but, like, you wouldn't know that. And you do pick your battles, but eventually it all adds up when things aren't accounted for and aren't resolved. And if it's something that bothers you, you have to express that. You can't hold it in. You can't expect people to read your mind and know what it is you want, or what makes you happy, or what you have to voice it. You have to dialogue in a way that is personal, and that's difficult to do online, obviously, and especially when lots of people are involved and watching, and it's in more of a professional sense, and there's all these other things involved, and it's hard. It's why I write, and I try to express, like, you know, tell little stories so you get a sense of my personality and where I'm coming from. But all I know is like what you can read online about people, and that doesn't mean anything. Basically, I mean, it's just facts, maybe, if that. And I don't even know, beyond people that are well known, I don't know who else is watching this. So that's not even something I can even approach at this point. My main focus is like the people that I do know are watching, and I'm like, okay, what are you doing? And I know there's overlaps, and that too is something that I would love to just be aware of. Like, oh, you didn't know you were doing this, or you didn't know you weren't aware that there's like overlaps, and it was me reading into something, like, I wouldn't even know where to start, though, to be honest. Like, but little things add up, and I am just tired. And when the basic things aren't met, and your basic, like, normal questions, things that anyone would want to know if they were in my position, aren't answered in any way that I can say concretely, they said this to me, and I didn't read into something, and there wasn't an overlap, because that happens all the time to me, then how seriously can I take it? Not that I don't take you seriously, but how seriously can I take that? I can say, yeah, that's kind of like a sign, and maybe that's what they mean, but I don't know for sure. And I don't want to put words in people's mouths, or like assume that's how they feel, or anything like that. And assume that's the answer, when maybe, it could just be an overlap. So, I just think that people really need to be more aware of how they affect people's lives, and I don't know, put themselves in someone else's shoes. Like, just be a little bit more cognizant of how the power that you have to affect someone's life, even if in small ways. Those, like I said, small things add up, and maybe people need to reflect on their own behavior before they point the finger, like I did. I don't mean to be like virtue signaling at all. I'm just trying my best to hold myself accountable to my own standards of how I'd want to be treated, or not treated, and and how can you grow, and how can you experience or even be any sort of example if you don't show the movement of one phase or one state of mind to the next, where you've grown and progressed your perspective and seen things differently. And so I mean, I could play it off like that, but that wouldn't really be, and beyond being embarrassed, because God knows I have no privacy. So like, to make the best out of that, it's like, well, you want to learn, you have to have something to learn from, but at the same time, you should probably question in yourselves what your actions have been up to this point, that whether right or wrong, whether I'm right or wrong, or you, but what your actions have been up into this point that would have contributed to my freaking out and being as depressed as I've been. Because we're all responsible. That's the problem. People want to be able to put everything good or bad onto one person. Find a leader and follow the leader, and then you aren't responsible. You aren't to blame. I've known plenty of people like that, and that's what everyone's doing to Greta. I mean, and when the climate goes up in flames, you can be like, well, she really did a lot, like, people love that. But you're all responsible. You know it. I'm not fooled. I know the truth. And I just would like to know some specifics, and so that I also don't have to be so upset and confused all the time. Doesn't mean I have to like the answer, but then I'm able to like move forward and say, well, I get it, like maybe we can work this out in a different way, or sorry, that doesn't work for me, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't, like, but at least there's closure to some degree. And that's what, adults do. That's what a mature person, a healthy person does, is they talk things out and hold themselves responsible and look out for others and are aware of how their actions affect other people's lives. And I get that not everyone has had the same experiences and aren't all on the same page and aren't all the same age and all these different things. So all right, I go first, and I express that, and then you have something to think about and reflect on. But then you have to, come back and say that this is what you think. Like, you have to have an opinion. You have to think something. You have to be more than a face or a scripted speech or a lyric, or singer, whatever, and in gossip magazines where no one knows the truth, and you can't live like that and then expect people not to just completely make assumptions and not be hurt by your actions or confused by them or think that you're fucking with them. I don't think I ever thought anyone would do anything. Maybe some unknown artist around the neighborhood would want to do a collaboration or something. I didn't think anything would really. I throw a lot of things out there, it's not and then all of a sudden it was every, your life is just being parroted back to you in everywhere you look, in every direction, and everything you hear on the radio and TV, and you're just I could handle this a lot better if I understood where you're coming from, and I understood, and I felt respected, and I felt like my, life was being respected and not used, and that I was able to move forward too, and not just benefit other people with my own experiences. That's not fair. I mean, celebrities should understand that. People find entertainment in reading gossip magazines, so your lives or fake lives or whatever it is that are in them, I don't read them, but whatever people get from reading gossip magazines are your experiences too, to some degree, and they're benefiting from your life and your experiences, painful or not, your the invasion of privacy, the gossip, all of it for their own entertainment. Doesn't that piss you off? Imagine if it was in every aspect of your life, in every conceivable way, and no one told you why, because you aren't famous, because you aren't in any position to make sense of that. I mean, you gotta think about what you do before you just infiltrate someone's life. You gotta have more respect than that. You have to really think, because no one's the same. And I just keep coming back to it, if you did it with good intentions because you want to make someone happy or feel better, then, well, I've said what would make me happy and what would make me feel better, so just do that, because I know better. I know myself. You don't know me. You know little things about me, but you don't know me. I know myself. And I know what would make me happy, and I know what I need. And I'm entitled to have my basic needs and peace of mind met, just like you are. I'm entitled to be respected, just like you are. Or entitled to be respected, poor choice of words, but I deserve respect as you do. Respect of my life, respect of my boundaries, respect of my privacy, respect of my wishes and things that I have voiced